Jai Swaminarayan. Today let's read the 17th passage from the second Gadhadā. This passage is titled, The Elements in the Form of God, Sthita-prajña, which is a new Sanskrit word for me that I'm sure we'll gain an understanding of through context and through Sriji Maharaj's explanation. Let's dive right into it. On the night of Aso Vadhi the 11th, Samvat 1878, or the 21st of October 1821, Swami Sri Sahajanandji Maharaj was sitting on an ornate seat on the veranda outside the rooms near the mandir of Sri Vasudev Narayan in Dada Kachar's Darbar in Gadhadā. He was dressed entirely in white clothes. 2 torches were lit in front of him. At that time, while devotional songs were being sung, Paramhansas as well as devotees from various places had gathered before him in an assembly. Then Sriji Maharaj said, "Please stop the devotional songs now, and let us begin a question-answer session." Thereupon all of the Munis replied, "Very well, Maharaj." Sriji Maharaj then posed a question. Some devotees understand the form of God as being composed of the 24 elements of Maya, material nature, while some understand it as being completely being composed purely of Chaitanya, pure awareness, free of Mayic, material elements. Of these 2 types of devotees, whose understanding is correct and whose understanding is incorrect? And you're always welcome to answer according to your own understanding in the comments below. It's totally okay if you get an answer that's different from what anyone says, including Sriji Maharaj. And sometimes it can even be even more helpful for us to contrast our own understanding with another's. Muktanand Swami replied, "The understanding of one who considers God's form as being composed of the 24 Mayic elements is incorrect. The understanding of one who considers God's form as being composed purely of Chaitanya, free of Mayic elements, is correct." Sriji Maharaj then said, "Adherents of the Sankhya philosophy claim that there are 24 elements. According to that doctrine, there are 23 elements, and the 24th is Sthita-prajña, the knower of the field, in the form of Jiva Ishwar, which is Chaitanya." Some Sanskrit terms there. Kshetra means the field. And it's a general way of expressing that which is to be experienced, the space of experience, including the body for us and the universe for Ishwar. Ajna means the knower of, so Sthita-prajña means the knower of the field, the witness of the experience, the experiencer. For the case of us individuals, the Sthita-prajña is the jiva, the soul. For the case of the whole universe, it's Ishvara. The 24 elements have been described in this manner. This is because Kshetra and Sthita-prajña have a mutual dependence on each other. Without Sthita-prajña, Kshetra cannot be described, and without Kshetra, Sthita-prajña cannot be described. The experiencer and the experience are dependent on each other. For this reason, Jiva and Ishwar have been included with the elements, while God has been described as the refugee of both Kshetra and Sthita-prajña. In this case, then, how can the Mayic elements be described as being distinct from God? For example, the 4 elements, namely earth, water, fire, and air, reside within Akash, the 5th element, space. Yet Akash is unaffected by any of their flaws. In the same way, not a single flaw of the Mayic elements influences the form of God. So what is the inconsistency in believing that God's form is composed of the 24 elements? Does claiming that God's form is not composed of the elements prevent inconsistencies? This is how I understand it. Then Dinanath Bhatt asked, should one who wishes to meditate on God's form understand it as being composed of the elements, or understand it as not being composed of the elements? Sriji Maharaj replied, one who understands God's form as being composed of the elements is a sinner, and one who understands God's form as not being composed of the elements is also a sinner. Those who are devotees of God do not at all like to senselessly quibble over whether or not God's form is composed of the elements. A devotee realizes God is God. There is no scope for dividing or discarding any part of Him. That very God is the Atma, the true self of countless Brahmans, universes. One who has no doubts at all regarding the nature of God should be known to have attained the nirvikalpa state. One with such understanding should be known as Sthita-prajña or Sthita-prajna. Literally, Sthita-prajna means one with a stable mind, but here Sriji Maharaj gives his own unique definition. Moreover, God redeems all the sins of a person who has such stable understanding regarding God. In the Bhagavad Gita, God has said to Arjun, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva bhapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Which is the 66th verse of the 18th chapter, which means, abandon all other forms of dharma and surrender only unto me. I shall deliver you from all sins. So do not lament. In fact, it is a usual custom in this world that an intelligent person will not notice a fault in someone who serves the person's major self-interests. For example, to serve their own self-interest, a partner will not notice any faults in their partner. This also applies to other households or householders who, where was I? I apologize. This also applies to other householders who, if they have intense self-interest in their relatives, be it a brother or sister, nephew or niece, son or daughter, etc., do not notice their faults. In the same way, if one realizes that God serves one's own self-interest, i.e., God relieves His devotees of their sins and ignorance and grants them liberation, then one will never perceive flaws in God in any way. For example, when Shukaji narrated the Ras Panchadhyayi, King Parikshit raised the following doubt. Why did God associate with other women? Shukaji, however, did not have the slightest doubt. Even the gopis with whom God engaged in amorous actions did not doubt by thinking, if He is God, why does He behave like this? They did not entertain such doubts. Moreover, when God went to the home of Kubja, He took Uddhavji along with Him, yet Uddhavji did not have any doubts at all. Moreover, when Uddhavji was sent to Vraj, he still did not entertain any doubts on hearing the words of the gopis. On the contrary, he profoundly realized the eminence of the gopis. Therefore, the understanding of a person who has developed an unflinching refuge of God will not become distorted, regardless of whether they are very learned in the scriptures or they are naive. Moreover, the glory of a staunch devotee of God can only be realized by one who is a devotee of God. Regardless of whether one is learned in the scriptures or is naive, only one with a firm understanding of God realizes the greatness of a devotee of God, and only they recognize a devotee possessing a staunch understanding. On the other hand, those without faith in the world, regardless of whether they are pundits, they are learned, or fools, are unable to develop such firm understanding of God. Moreover, they do not recognize a devotee possessing staunch understanding, nor do they realize the glory of a devotee of God. Therefore, only a devotee of God can recognize another devotee of God, and only they can realize their glory. For example, Uddhavji realized the profound glory of the gopis. Likewise, the gopis realized the glory of Uddhavji. Although Purushottam Bhagwan is the Kshetrajna of all Kshetrajnas, he is still not subject to change. Moreover, the disturbances of objects that cause disturbances, such as Maya, material nature, and other factors, do not influence Purushottam Bhagwan. In fact, if the disturbances of Sthul, Sukshma, and Karan, the three bodies of physical, subtle, and causal, do not influence a person who has realized the Atma, their true self, what can be said about them not influencing Purushottam Bhagwan? Therefore, God is certainly not subject to change. He is absolutely uninfluenced. A devotee of God who understands God's form in this manner should be known to be a Sthita-prajña, just as a person who has realized their Atma is called Sthita-prajña. A devotee of God who behaves as follows is called Sthita-prajña, with regards to the form of Purushottam. Entertaining no doubts at all regarding the nature of God, they glorify God's weaknesses in exactly the same way they glorify His strengths. They also glorify those actions and incidents of God that appear to be inappropriate in exactly the same way that they glorify actions and incidents that are appropriate, without harboring any doubts about the appropriateness or inappropriateness of those actions and incidents. Such a devotee should be known as being Sthita-prajña with regards to the nature of Purushottam. One who has developed such a firm conviction of the nature of Purushottam has nothing more left to understand. This has been the 150th discourse from Swaminarayan in the Vachanamrut. Thank you for listening. Jai Swaminarayan.